And we have promised to record this for everyone, which is great. Anna, I'm going to get us onto Facebook, so give me 1 second to do that because we'll have people that want to watch us there. So we're going to go live over there. So stand by. Everyone just keep standing. Hello, everybody. We are live in Pivot Shift Ahead. We are live on Zoom. It's your friend James Shaw, and I'm excited because Anna Kreuger is one of the smartest people I've ever met. Anna Kreuger has figured out how to make sure that in today's market, you can deepen that pipeline by having authentic conversations that work, building relationship, and creating opportunity. And I know we learn scripts and dialogues all the time, and can that stuff work? But the number one thing I hear is, that doesn't sound like me, James. Taught bold for a decade. That was the number one thing people said is, I can't say this. Well, Anna Kreuger is going to teach you how to say things in a way that is true to who you are so you can earn as much opportunity as possible. And that's what we're going to focus on today. She's going to tell you about a series that we're partnering on together too, which is great. So, Anna, I'm done. I'm turning it over to you. Thank you so much for pouring into our community, and we're glad
Yeah,
you're here.
I love being here and I love the high pitchedness. That is how they say it. That doesn't sound like me. So I'm excited to be with y'all today. We are going to talk about ditching the script. Who would love to ditch some scripts in here? Show me a raise of hands. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a reaction. I know if I'm totally vulnerable and transparent with y'all, I mentioned this the other day on the pivot call, but I remember when my leader gave me a script and told me to call my sphere, and I went out in my car and I cried. And I thought, I don't think real estate's for me. That does not sound like me. That's not my personality. And I hated the idea of a script. So today we're going to talk about how can you be successful without scripts. There are some constructs that will help you in conversations. And then I'm going to teach you how to uncover an objection. Who here is getting objections? Anybody? Anybody? And not in today's market, right? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So today we're going to talk through how to uncover objections. I saw in the chat box a lot of requests for how to dive deeper with people. The beautiful thing is, as we talk about how to uncover objections, you will also learn how to go deeper with people through asking questions. And I'm going to give you as much as I can in the time we have. And then at the end, I'll tell you where to find more. So we're going to do that together. So let's go ahead and jump in. And I'm going to put some slides up here real quick. Grab something to take notes. I'm going to give you a couple things today that have like 4 parts to this and 3 parts to that. And you're going to want to write that down so you can utilize it as soon as possible. So today we're diving into the no script sales method. I always want to make sure I keep you safe. I am not an attorney. Talk to one if you have questions. But you can see the disclaimer there on the screen. Essentially, make sure you're following the law and how you make calls to use what we're teaching today. So again, we're going to hit what's the difference between a script and a language pattern. Tell me in the chat box, what do you think the difference is? Like, if you had to put it in your own words, what do you think the difference is between a script and a language pattern? And then, like I said, we'll talk about how to uncover it, how to customize a solution so it's very personable and relatable to your clients. And then we'll talk about the upcoming program coming up. Real quick, I do want to share with you to just give you some hope, okay? I got into sales in 2006. And I had always said I would never do business or sales. So it's funny to me that I'm doing this right now. But I was a high school teacher, said I would never do business or sales, ended up in a sales job, primarily on the phone. And I was about to get kicked off my first team. Okay. I was not doing well. And I had one of those moments of, I either need to figure this out or get out of this industry because this is not serving anybody. It's not serving my paycheck. It's not serving the company. It's not serving the clients. And I embraced studying language patterns. And I was still me. I hadn't changed anything. I just learned some language patterns. And I went from being the lowest performer on the team to the top performer on the team with consistency. So the next 10 months in a row, I was the top performer on the team, and then started training this back in 2008 to other people. And we saw they had success. So this is proven over time. This isn't an idea. This is something that has changed my life. My financial situation has radically been changed through embracing language patterns. So if you're here thinking, I would like to make more money, have more steady income, Do you ever go to bed at night and worry that you could have handled the lead better? And am I going to have enough? Have you ever had that feeling? This will help you with all of that. This will help you with all of that. So let's jump in. Okay. So we're going to start with what's the difference between a script and a language pattern? And I saw a lot of great answers come in the chat box. On the left, scripts. Think of it like I'm memorizing specific words. I really relate to this right here. It feels robotic. You ever feel that way with a script? And it can be hard to adapt. Have you ever been talking to somebody and they say something way off over here and you're like, yeah, I don't have a script for that. I don't know what to do. So scripts are really kind of like just something you memorize. And in the ideal world, they would say the perfect thing and the conversation will flow. But it usually leaves people feeling kind of cringy, right? Can you relate to that? And we don't want to feel that way talking to clients. At least I don't. So language patterns are what make the difference. So think of a language pattern. It's flexible. There is a structure. So you'll see an example of that today. What I love about it is you can personalize it to you. So there's a lot of you registered for this webinar. There's about 500 of you live. What that means is at the end of today, we all may follow the 4 steps to uncover an objection, but we might sound 500 different ways because we have 500 different personalities. And I love that because you get to be yourself. You feel natural and authentic. You can adjust it. So now if somebody says something crazy and you're like, yeah, that's not in my script, it's not a big deal because you have a way to flow with it. Okay. And the idea, the main thing here that I want to highlight is it helps you focus on connecting and guiding. If you were in the pivot call this morning, which I sure hope you were, a lot of the conversation was around just genuinely help people, right? And I know that's a recurring theme. But we want to connect with people. We want to guide them. We want to have a personal relationship with them. And the best way to do that is to have a language pattern. So again, I'll give you some of those today. Before I do that, use the chat box. What are you already hearing in this? Give me a takeaway or something that's shifting the way you're thinking. Hope, that's a great one. I'd like to be a hope dealer. So I'm gonna make that my signature line, hope dealer. Let me give you some hope. Confidence, you have to listen. Yes, it's based on the client from Patty. I'm seeing the words authentic over and over. Freedom. Yes. What a great webinar if we can get off here and you feel more free and authentic. That sounds like a win to me. So let's keep going. So what we're going to do today is talk through how to think like a coach and a consultant. I would encourage you write down what you see on the screen right now. This sentence in the middle changed everything for me. So when I mentioned I was failing, not having sales, about to get kicked off my team, and my leader said to me, would you quit thinking like a salesperson and think like a coach or a teacher? Well, that resonated with me because I had been a teacher and a coach. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to quit worrying about the outcome and I'm going to focus on just listening to this person and educating and helping them. And maybe if I do that, then I'll actually have clients. And when that mindset shifted, it was really 2 things. That mindset shift of I'm a coach, I'm a teacher, not a salesperson, and the language patterns, those 2 things are when things drastically changed for me. So our job is to listen to their story. Well, what might we need to use if we're going to be listening versus talking? You know the answer. Yeah, your ears. What might we say that would help us be better listeners too, right? Questions. Yeah, I see you putting questions in there. Questions. So we need to get them talking. And the way we're going to do that is questions. And I'll give you some good ones today. So our job is to listen to their story, find out what's going on in their world, and then essentially listen. Then you're going to educate and strategize to help them get what they want. You are a consultant. If we can adopt the mindset of we are coaches, we're consultants or teachers, whichever one resonates most with you, that's usually the mindset that's going to help you really listen, lean into clients and make it about them, not us. And when we make it about them and we listen and we remove obstacles to help them hit their goal, that's when we start seeing the success. So our job is to connect and guide. So let's talk through how to do that. Now, I will preface this by saying I have over 18 language patterns, okay? I was paying attention in Pivot, the Facebook group, the chat box as we've done our morning calls, and I've seen a lot of objections came in. So I chose the objection language pattern for today. Is that good with everyone? And whether it is or not, it's what we're learning. But I hopefully this will resonate with everyone. And know that there are 18 others in addition to what I'm teaching you today. So let's jump into how do you uncover an objection? Well, the first thing I want to bring up is if you can start categorizing in your mind, there are really only two main objections. Now, I realize there are a lot of subsurface objections, but at the end of the day, there are two primary categories of objections. And it's either going to be a lack of education or a lack of motivation. A lack of education or a lack of motivation. Those are the two primary. Now, there are a few of somebody's motivated, they're educated, but they're not qualified or something's going on. But overwhelmingly, it's going to be a lack of education or a lack of motivation. So can I ask you all a hard-hitting question that might make us all a little uncomfortable here for a second? Have we ever had a client not hire you, but they still moved forward? Ever had that moment? Nobody, right? I know I've had that a lot, where they didn't hire me, but they did move forward. So was that a lack of motivation or education? Which one? Education, because they moved forward. So the fact that they moved forward shows there was motivation there, but somehow in our conversation, I did not educate, which might mean I didn't uncover what was really going on. And had we uncovered what was really going on and then addressed it in a personable way, we may have had that client work with us. So what we want to do is figure out how do we do that moving forward, right? Learn from that and now look to how can I get better about that for my future conversations. So we're going to talk through 4 steps to uncover an objection. Before I give that to you, I just want to do a little experiment here in the chat box. So I'm going to give you an objection, and I want you to type in why you think the person said that. Okay, so if you're talking to a lead and they say, I want to wait until next year, in the chat box, tell me why you think that could be. And if you can think of 5 reasons, type in 5 reasons. I want to get a collection of reasons coming in. So we have motivation, rates. I'm going to count them off as I read. School, fear, uncertainty. What could it be? Why might why might they want to wait? The market could change. Fear of where I would go. What if I missed the market? Change of life, interest rates. There's a lot. I love how much you guys are interacting here. Retiring. I have a lease. My kids are graduating. So there's no possible way I can read all of those. I'm scrolling as fast as I can, and it's telling me there's 99 more I haven't gotten to yet. So can we all just agree real quick? I just counted 13 different reasons in what I could grab from the flying chat box. Can we all agree that you can't have a one-line response to someone who says, I want to wait till next year? Because if we have a one-line response, and I've sat in trainings where people teach, if they say X, you say Y. However, what if their reason for waiting till next year isn't the one you assumed? We can't really have a one-line response to objections because it could be a variety of reasons. I had someone tell me one time they didn't want to hire an agent. Well, what would you assume if you heard that? I don't want to hire an agent. I mean, I thought they just had a bad experience. That's what I thought. Yeah, for sale by owner, maybe they're cheap, they want more money. I made those same assumptions. I just figured they had a bad experience. They thought they could make more money. Well, as I did the uncovering pattern I'm about to give you, the lady started crying. And she said, I actually desperately want to hire an agent, but I don't think I have enough equity to pay for one. Isn't that a wildly different scenario than if I had just assumed, she just doesn't like agents, right? So we always have to ask, no matter how much we think we know, because we've done this for however long, we want to make sure that we ask the question to uncover what's going on. So let me tell you how to do that. So the first thing you're going to do when somebody gives you an objection, and this is where you can personalize it and make it sound like you, but the main idea is number 1, you're going to welcome it and rephrase it. So welcoming it could sound like, So glad you brought that up. That's welcoming it. You could also say, thanks for telling me, or I appreciate your honesty. And then you're going to rephrase it back to them. So I'm going to say, so what you're saying is you are not looking to hire an agent. Is that right? Now, I'd love to get some interaction here. So raise your hands if you want to speak up or use the chat box. What do you think the value is of number one? Welcome and rephrase. What's the psychology there? Why bother?
They know that you heard them.
They know that we heard them? Yep. Is it LaKayla? Go ahead. I see your hand raised.
It is LaKayla. That's what I was going to say, where it brings their guard down. So
Yes, it brings it. We're not reacting. We're not defensive. It's thank you for telling me. Dawn, go ahead, and then we'll hear from Donna.
I was going to say the same thing. It just
Yeah.
lets them know that we hear them.
Yeah, we hear you. Exactly.
It lets the guard down. Like they feel like, wow, I finally said what it was the hardest thing to say.
Yes, yes. And it can help them feel comfortable to continue being honest with us. Lastly, Donna, I see your hand raised. You raise your hand if you want to speak, just to keep some order here. Donna, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also the rephrasing lets them know that you heard them and you're actually checking back. Is that what you said to me? Did I get it right?
Exactly. Yep. Have you ever had someone that you just learned, maybe don't tell them when you disagree because they react so strongly? So it kind of shuts you down because they're so defensive, you know? We don't want to do that. What I'm teaching today is how to uncover an objection, but I'm quasi addressing no-shows. When you set an appointment and you feel really good about it and they don't show up, you know what's usually going on is there's an objection they didn't tell you. So that it is connected. So we have language patterns on how to set appointments that show up 80 to 90% of the time. But part of it is being really good at uncovering objections, because if they're not telling us the whole truth, that could lead to them not showing up for that appointment. Some of you are having an aha right now. That might be connecting and thinking of a person that you're going to call when we hang up. So you're going to say, I'm so glad you told me, or I'm glad you were honest with me, which makes them comfortable to keep being honest with us. It builds the relationship. Then when we rephrase it, it does let them know that we heard them. The other thing it does is we are probably going to get a yes. If Meredith just told me, I don't want to move this year because, well, she just said, I don't want to move this year. And I said, hey, Meredith, I so appreciate you being honest with me. So you're saying you want to wait till next year. Is that right? What is she going to say? Yes. Well, an object in motion stays in motion. I just got a yes. Early on in my uncovering objections, what am I likely to keep getting? Yeses. So that's some of the psychology here. It's crazy how much this matters, isn't it? It's just those step number one, but there's so much psychology baked into it. And the cool thing is you get to put that in your own wording. You get to be yourself as you do it. All right, so you're going to welcome it and rephrase it. Number two, you're going to dig. Well, what does that mean? If you've taken a class with me before, you know this verbiage. If you haven't, which I think is a lot of you, let me explain this real quick. The way to ask a good question is to use their wording. So if Donna says to me, I want to move to a new neighborhood, I'm going to put the word neighborhood in my next question, not community, right? Because she didn't say community, she said neighborhood. If Meredith says I want to wait till next year, I'm not going to say, what's going to make you wait till the spring? She didn't say spring, she said next year. So I'm going to use her exact wording in my next question. That's how you dig. So let me ask you again, and you can raise your hand, use the chat box. What's the psychology of using their exact wording in the next question? It's affirming, it's mirroring. Empathy, Shannon, go ahead. I see your hand raised. Thank you.
I was going to say mirroring. You're mirroring.
Yeah. And you guys are pretty well educated. You guys are really involved with Pivot and all the things. But for someone who's like, what's mirroring? I just learned about Pivot yesterday. What is mirroring and why does that matter? Karen, go ahead.
Aloha,
Oops.
good morning.
Yeah, there
So
you go.
you're actually showing them
number one, that you're listening and that you're hearing what you're saying. And then mirroring kind of draws them to you. They feel comfortable with you because you're reflecting their own behaviors and words and whatever.
Yes, you got it. It's kind of like if you're in person. Have you ever heard that when you're in person, if you are standing the same way as the person you're talking to, it's subconscious, but that probably means you're in rapport? Well, on the phone, we don't have the physical cues, right? So one way that we can do that is use their exact words. So before we continue, let me give you a little more hope here, okay? I had a client call me from California. I live in South Carolina, so it's way cheaper living here than California, okay? Just different price points. And this investor called me from California and he said, and by the way, I'm new to real estate at the time. He said, my goal is to buy 250 homes in South Carolina this year. Or well, not this year, but my goal is to buy 250 homes in South Carolina. So I dug into it and he said, I can just buy more homes there for the price than I can here. And I want to have rentals. Well, I'm thinking, Anna Kreuger, do not jack up this phone call. I got real nervous. 250 homes. This could set up my career. Okay. And I was nervous because he's an investor. He has 250 homes he wants to buy. And this is why practice is important. In that moment of nervousness, I thought to myself, stick to the pattern. He's just a human. Stick to your training, stick to the pattern. So I started asking him questions using his words, what we're talking about right now. Well, he ends up saying to me, I don't actually like realtors and I don't know what it is about you, but I'll meet with you. And I got the appointment. And he has bought multiple homes. I've been off the team now about 5 years. He, last I heard, was still buying homes with the team. Well, I think it all started with me using his words in the next question. So if you're curious how to dig in and build a relationship with people, this is a key right here, is use their words in the next question. So to go back to the example of an objection, if they say they want to wait till next year, number one, thank you for being honest with me. So you want to wait till next year. Is that right? Okay, great. What about next year is important to you? Very simple. And maybe he says, I want to wait to see what the market's going to do. I feel like that's kind of common right now, right? I want to see what the market's going to do. And now I have a question on the screen, but feel free to use your own question as long as it's open-ended using their words. So if he said, I want to see what the market's going to do, I might say, what are you curious that the market's going to do and what's important about that? And he might say, well, I just want to make sure I have enough equity to move to a bigger home. Okay. So now number 3, I'm going to summarize it, which actually, before we do that, I'm getting ahead. I want to wait till next year. Think of all the assumptions we make. What does he actually want? What did he just tell us he actually wants by waiting till next year?
More money.
More money. But why? Why does he want more money?
Affordability
Affordability for what?
to buy his new home.
Yep. And I'm asking you that because that's what you got to do with your clients, right? It's affordability for the next house. I want a bigger house. That's what he wants, right? And James, I just saw in the chat box. Yeah, make sure you raise your hand if just to help with it not being crazy in here. Okay. All right. So we're going to find out what it is. So he just said, I want to see what the market's going to do. And then I said, what's important about that? And he said, I want to make sure I have enough money to afford the next house. So now I'm going to summarize it and think about it. If I summarize it, what's he probably going to say? If I was listening, I'm using his words and I'm probably right. When I summarize it and say, I think what I'm hearing you say is you want to wait till next year to see what the market does. And that's really because you want to make sure you get enough money to buy the next home. Is that right? What's he probably going to say? Yes. So now I have my second yes. I'm on a good path here, right? So now what we're going to do is number 4, which is called a conditional close. A conditional close. The key to a conditional close is the phrasing if I can, or if we can. Again, you're going to put this in your own words, but the essential thing here is if. So what I'm going to do is say, hey, if I can show you that in today's market right now, we can get enough money for your house to buy the bigger home that you want, would you be open to talking about it? Let me tell you where people mess up with this, of what not to do. What not to do is just as important as what to do. What not to do is to say, hey, if I can show you a way to buy a house now, would you meet with me? That's too strong right there. Now, listen, I teach sales. I'm all into asking for the appointment. But you just had someone give you an objection. And can you see how that could be a big leap to go from here's my objection to maybe 3 minutes later saying, will you meet with me? Right? I'm not going to go there yet. I will later, just not right now. What I'm going to do instead is say, would you be open to at least talking about it? That's like a soft landing, right? And if I said, you know what, would you be open to at least talking about it? So if I can show you how in today's market you can sell your home and we can get you another home that's bigger and you can afford that, would you be open to at least talking about it? What do you think they're probably going to say? Yes, most of them, not everybody. Let me be clear. I'm not going to set the expectation that everyone everywhere all of a sudden is going to say yes to you all the time, always. But if we can get even 10 extra people a week to say yes to you, would that help you hit your goals? Or 5 extra people a week? Right? It's the compound effect. It's going to add up over time. So these little changes will affect you over time and help you hit your goals. So if they say yes, I'm going to give them a solution. And in just a moment, I'll teach you how to customize solutions, because there's a way to do that that's actually very relational and very personal. So then we're going to give them a solution. If they say no, what's probably going on is there's another objection. Remember I said a minute ago, if you have people not showing up for an appointment, it's often because there's another objection hiding somewhere that we just missed. So this gives them a chance. So if I say, we can find you a home that you can afford off the sale of your house, it's a bigger home in today's market, would you be open to talking about it? And he says no. Okay, great. What else is holding you back? And I'm basically going to start back up at number 1. And what I find a lot of times is it could be a spouse is not on board. That's very common. I want to move, but my spouse, they don't. So, okay, we got to talk about that. And so this is how you uncover that objection. So before I move on, I'm going to teach you in just a moment how to customize a solution in a very relational way. And then I'll tell you where you can find more like this in our program starting in 2 weeks. Before I do, let's hear a couple takeaways, ahas, or if you have a question, not a question on other topics, but very specifically to the 4 parts. I'll take questions on that right now. And just raise your hand or put it in the chat box. So questions, takeaways. Let's see, there you go. Is it Masha?
It is. Yes.
Perfect. Go
You did
ahead.
that work. So if you went through this process with the 4 and they say no, and there's the other objection, and you attempt to go through the process again, and it's still a no, where do you go with that? Where you still leave yourself with an open end to come back at a later time? And then how do you set that up?
That's a really good question. I'm going to do a visual real quick for you. Honestly, maybe they have 3 objections. So I'm just going to keep going until they say, is there anything that would, would you be open to talking about it? And you might end up like, I might uncover 1 objection, 2 objections, 3 objections. Okay. If I'm really not getting anywhere, something I did not teach today because we only have 1 hour is the first thing you talk to people about in any conversation is their personal motivation. So we don't have that today. That's how I'm teaching today. But let's assume that this person's motivation is they want a bigger home because they're planning to adopt children and their current home doesn't fit the regulations. You know how you have to have all these things approved. Yeah, and they need a bigger home. Maybe that's the situation. I would go back to that and say, hey, I know that you said you really wanted, and there's a language pattern for this too, by the way, but hey, I know you said you really wanted the bigger home. Your goal is to adopt. That's really important to you to have an impact on future generations. I'm hearing you say you're not interested to hear the solutions. What's happening? I'd love to help. And I just delivered a language pattern that I don't have time to teach today, but there's 3 parts to what I just did. And so that's why motivation is important. And that's why motivation must come first. Because if I don't have motivation, do you see how this could be tricky to deal with the objection? You have to have motivation first.
Thank you.
Yep, great question. We'll do 2 more and then we'll move on just because of time. John and then Navarro, I think is how you say it. Go ahead.
Thanks for doing this, and I'll keep it quick.
You're
It's
welcome.
number 4, what you said of would you be open to it instead of, hey, when can we meet?
Yeah.
That I think a lot of us stop asking for business, honestly, for that because it's like, oh my God, I got to get an appointment like now.
Yeah.
So, that's a softer way of asking it.
Yeah, you said that so beautifully. Well, and remember the webinar started with it's about them, not us. And guys, please know, I know the feeling of I am desperate for business. I know that feeling. I've had to go to my church for help before to get help for a bill when I first got into real estate because I didn't have enough money coming in. I know that feeling. And when you're in that place, it's about us and what I need, and I'm desperate. When we set that aside and think like, I am a coach, I am a consultant, and my job is to help this person hit their goals, not to make a sale. My job is to help this person hit their goals. It changes the whole dynamic and it can feel it in the conversation. Lastly, Navarro, am I saying your name right? I'm always paranoid I'm going to
Yes.
say a name wrong.
That's perfect.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to make a statement or comment that we've all frequently heard in the past is you peel the onion, and the more you peel the onion, the sweeter it gets. So just visualize it like that. You closer you get
Yeah.
to the center of an onion, the sweeter the onion is.
Yeah,
So
that's good. I like that analogy. Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, and here's the other thing too. There's so much I'm not saying for time, which is why we're going to have a program starting August 20th. But here's the other thing. Think about this conversation. This is going to take a little bit of time. I've timed these conversations, by the way, over years. It takes about 12 minutes to get someone's motivation, pre-qualify them, deal with objections, and set an appointment. It takes about 12 minutes. That's really not that long. But it's long enough that if they've done that with you and another agent calls them, do you think they're going to want to repeat it with someone else? They just invested about 10 to 15 minutes of time with you. So if another agent calls, what I find doing this process is people will sometimes say things like, why didn't the other person ask me these questions? So I used to be a high school teacher. I have a really silly analogy for you. Okay. I'm going to pull on my high school teaching days. Do you remember Cheese Whiz? It's in a can. It's kind of nasty. Some of you love it. Don't admit it, okay, if you love Cheese Whiz. But if you're a kid and you've only ever had Cheese Whiz, you might think it's amazing. But then someone gives you Gouda. Does Cheese Whiz seem so awesome after you've had some Gouda or baked brie? Cheese Whiz is now bottom, right? Well, be a Gouda agent, guys. Be the agent that, who cares if other agents have called them? Have other agents dug in 4 steps to understand their objection? I highly doubt it. So I don't care if other agents have called them. Unless they're signed, that's a different scenario if they've signed with another agent. But if they're not committed to an agent, I don't get intimidated by the fact other agents might have called them. I see y'all like the Gouda analogy. But yeah, be a Gouda agent, guys. When they experience you, all the other agents don't seem so awesome. Okay? So now let's talk through how to customize the solution, and then I'll tell you where to find more, and then we'll open it up for Q&A and get you out of here by 3 o'clock Eastern. Okay, so how do you customize the solution? So there's a difference between what you have to offer and saying that to them versus what you have to offer and how it relates to their story. So let me give you an example, and then I'll put the slides back up so you can grab the notes. I want to see your faces here. So let's go back to the example I've been using. They want to adopt, they need a bigger house and all that. So instead of saying, maybe I know when they bought their house. So instead of just saying from, on average, people who bought their house in that year to this year, on average have X amount of equity. That's just a statement. Okay. Better is we've helped a lot of people who thought they didn't have enough equity. And through doing analysis and all that, we figured out they could afford to do it. What that means for you is we may be able to get you into that bigger home so you can adopt and have a home that fits the qualifications to be approved for that. Do you see the difference? I'm not just giving a statement. I'm giving a statement and then tying it back to their motivation. Let me give you another example. I had a client who worked third shift, and her big issue of why she didn't want to list with us was her hours that she was awake was opposite of our hours of when we worked. So she's like, I don't know how I'm going to communicate with you because I work at night and you're open during the day, and that's when I sleep. Well, we had a system that she could log in 24 hours a day and send us notes and see all of our notes of what was happening with her house. So one way you could say that is we have a 24-hour system. You can log in and see notes. That's okay, right? I give that a B+. That's fine. Better would be we have a system that you can log in 24 hours a day and see notes. What that means for you, Linda, is you could 2 in the morning log in, send us a note, be on your lunch break on that third shift job, sleep during the day. We can send you notes and it'll let you have your schedule and still communicate with us. Do you see the difference there? Give me a nod or something. I'm a feedback person. I need to know you're hearing me here. Yes, perfect. So that's how you are even more relational, is you're not just sharing the feature, the story, or the statistic. You're tying it. Think of these phrases here in the middle like your glue. Okay, here's the fact that will solve your problem. Here's the glue, what that means for you is, and then personalize it. And that will only come as you get motivation from the client. Okay, which we did not practice today, but I have ways to teach that to you. So that's how you customize that solution and help them understand very much in a relational way. Wow, this person really heard me. This person understands me. And I see directly how that fact they just told me impacts me directly. That's how you do it. Okay. So I have a short 1-minute video I'm going to show you from someone I think a lot of you are going to be excited about. But before I do, questions or thoughts on what I just shared? And move quick if you have one. I want to give you as much as I can. Perfect. Oh, you want the slide again? I'll put it back up there. Shannon, go ahead while I show the slide.
Yes, I feel like when you tied it back, it made it feel like you were genuine and you went that extra step versus just giving them an answer.
Yes. Yes. And it prevents it sounding like a brag, right? It's here's what I've got that solves that, but very quickly, here's how that benefits you directly. I'm not wording it that way, but that's the idea. Thank you, Shannon. That was good. Awesome. Okay, I'm just checking the chat box here real quick. Okay, so what I want to do real quick is I'm going to give you a little bit of inspiration. And I can't say that without hearing James say, go put in the perspiration. That's a good tagline, James. But I'm going to give you a little inspiration from someone named Sarah Reynolds. Y'all know Sarah Reynolds? If you don't, you should. She's amazing. She is a dear friend of mine. I have so much respect for her. And I interviewed her for about 45 minutes, just asking her for insight that would help people wanting to work on their skill. And we pulled a 1-minute clip to play for you today. And she really summarizes what I want to tell you. And it's that idea, let me find it, pull it up real quick. It's the idea that I can teach you all day long. And the best way to be confident in this is you have to go do it. So let her tell you. And then I'll share with you how to get more training like what you just had today. Can y'all see her video? Perfect. All right, let me play it and then we'll continue.
Really now I've been part of over 11,000 home sales. I talked to hundreds of people, have sat on stages in front of thousands of people. And I still, to this day, there's a little bit of a nervousness the minute I start picking up the phone. And yes, I still make calls. And so like, it doesn't necessarily go away. What happens is you realize you get confidence from doing. It's impossible to build confidence without taking action. It's literally impossible. And so you are going to mess up. You're going to mess up the conversation framework. You're going to stumble. You're going to have people yell at you. You are going to mess up. And as long as you continue and don't stop, the confidence will come. And it literally takes me just starting. Even to this day, I'm nervous. I start. I have my first conversation and I realize, oh my goodness, this is another human that needs help.
Yeah, amazing, right? And I love how she said it is impossible. That stuck out to me. It is impossible to have confidence without taking action. So I want y'all to think for just a moment here, and I want you to write it down for yourself. What's the thing that you know will help your confidence? And you need to work on that. What is it making? Is it a particular client you need to call? Is it this language pattern I just taught you? But I want you to think for a minute, what's an area where you can take action? And by taking the action, it will build your confidence. We all have something like that. And tell us in the chat box if you would like. You don't have to. But I'd love to hear what some of you are going to work. What you're going to work on. Okay. Who here believes that you could have more closings because of what you learned today? Anyone? All right. Would you like to know where to find more of that? Okay. Let's talk about it real quick. So I am very passionate about this, if you can't tell. And it's because, like I said, I know what it's like to not have money. And I know what it's like to be in a pretty desperate situation as a salesperson. And I don't think, you don't have to be in a desperate situation to want to improve, but would we like to make more money and not have to work as hard for it, right? As your skill increases, you get the gift of choosing how much you want to keep hustling. Now you're always going to have to hustle, right? In this type of industry, but do you want to hustle less days a week, less hours a day? The way you do that is increasing your skill. And as you increase skill, you get the gift of time. And you get to decide, do I want more time? Do I want to keep working the same amount of hours and just make more money? So that's why I'm so passionate, and I'm sure you can feel it across the screen. It's because I've been in this and I know this works. So we have a program starting August 20th. I'm so excited to partner with James to bring this to you. I don't know if I've actually told you this, James, but I was thinking, who would I want to partner with? And I thought of James. And then James and I ended up having a conversation, and he didn't know that was in the background of my mind. And so I am really thrilled to bring this to this community. I love this community. So on August 20th, we are going to start a coaching membership. That is in 2 weeks. The no script sales method is the website to go register. Let me tell you what you get. And I have a bonus for you that I'll tell you about in just a moment. Okay, so what's included in this coaching membership? So the first thing is on-demand language patterns. That is something I deeply believe in. I have taught this content before, and it took 6 months to deliver it. Now imagine that you need help with uncovering objections today, but that's not taught for 3 months. That doesn't feel great, right? So I was very passionate that in creating this program for you, I wanted you to have all the training you needed on day one. So we've done that for you. So we have recorded all of the language patterns for you, and they are in on-demand videos available August 20th when the program begins. So August 20th, if you need help with any part of a conversation from hello all the way through setting an appointment that will sign with you, that's available to you on August 20th, all of them. In addition, I also understand it's nice to talk to a teacher, a live person, to demonstrate it, to ask questions, to work through scenarios. So we're still going to do that. So 3 times a month, we're going to have a live training. And then we're also going to have something called Tiger Time. You're probably wondering, what is Tiger Time? I made up this term, so that's probably why you don't know what it means. Have you ever heard of the idea of body doubling? It's the idea of, I don't want to clean my house. You don't want to clean your house. So why don't we hop on Zoom and just clean our houses at the same time together and help each other get it done? Does that make sense? So I got to thinking, something I hear all the time is, I need to do my lead gen, I need to do my lead conversion, but you feel like you might be on an island doing that by yourself. So what I've decided to do is 3 times a month, we're going to do something called Tiger Time. It's the idea of body doubling. We're all going to hop on Zoom together. We'll be muted, so it won't be chaotic to have it up and running, but we're going to be able to see each other lead generating, making calls, talking to people, and I will be live watching the chat box. So as things happen, type it into the chat box. And the last 30 minutes of Tiger Time, we're going to deal with whatever just happened. So if you've ever been on a call and hung up and thought, I need help or I need feedback right now. That's what this is going to be. So it's going to be a 90-minute block, 60 minutes of us lead generating together, 30 minutes of training. All of that will be recorded minus the actual lead gen time because it's muted. There's no point to record that, but all the training pieces will be recorded. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to have bonus classes. So if something is shifting in the market, or if I'm hearing from you, if I see a repetitive question that relates to lead generation or lead conversion, we're going to do bonus classes as needed. What are you looking at? So it's $147 a month. And that's where you got to ask yourself, will you have more closings because of what you learned today? You know, this was a free webinar, but if you paid for $147 just for this one webinar, would you make that money back? And I feel very confident that you will make it back multiple times over as you have closings. So it's $147 a month. It's a 6-month commitment. And then after that, it's month to month. So if you're in there and you got everything you needed in 6 months, you can be done after 6 months. You may say, I want to stay in the community, and you can do that as well. So it starts August 20th. Go to No Script Sales Method to register. And again, on day 1, you'll get all the language patterns. We'll have live trainings starting August 20th. August 21st, we're going to start our first Tiger Time where we do group lead gen. And my goal is that this is really a community where you find help and support for the part of the business that's really the most important. It's lead generation, lead conversion. Now, I mentioned to you that I did about a 45-minute interview with Sarah Reynolds. If you would like that whole interview, there's a way to get it. And what we're doing is if you register by Friday at midnight, you will get access to the full interview. And part of that is it helps to have people registering early because it can be a lot of admin chaos when stuff happens at the last second. So if you already know that you want to take the program, register by this Friday and you will get the link to Sarah Reynolds' interview. She has a lot of encouragement and practical tips of how to just really excel at lead gen, lead conversion, and we'll make that available to you. Yeah, noscriptsalesmethod.com. Dan. So yeah, Dan has a question. Yeah, if you have questions about the program, raise your hand, put it in the chat box. Dan, so the trainings will be 3:30 on Wednesdays. And then Tiger Time, which is that group lead gen, that will be on Thursdays. That'll be on Thursdays, and I'm just double checking the time. Yeah, 11 to 12:30 Eastern. So 3:30 to 4:30 Eastern on Wednesdays is the live training. And then 11 to 12:30 Eastern on Thursdays is group lead gen. It's also all recorded. So if for some reason you can't make any of the live sessions, you can still have all of the content on demand through it being recorded. Good. All right, what other questions do we have? Yeah, Kim, 882, excellent. Yeah, if you do only 6 months, okay, it's 882. Think about what you typically make when you have a closing. And I feel very confident saying that were you to implement even half the training, you will make that back multifold. I'm not at all worried about your ROI as long as you show up. And that could be live or watching on demand. Showing up does not have to be live. Yep, everything's on the website. I see that question. Rick, yes, I don't remember the details. I see that question. He's asking about showings for the third shift lady. We sold her house. I don't know all the inner workings that happened in between. So language patterns for care calls. Yes, we talk about how to call. So let me give you some of the language patterns. That's actually a great question. We talk about how to open a call so they don't hang up on you. We talk about what do you do if they're like, oh, I'm busy. Can you just call me later? We talk about how to handle that. One of my favorite language patterns is how to set up an appointment so that 90% of them sign and hire you. Think about the appointments you're setting right now. Even if you set no additional appointments, if you simply had 90% of them hire you, would that solve a lot of your conversion problems? Just that, right? So we have a language pattern that's been proven over time that 90 to 95% of people will hire you when you set it up correctly. And I will give you that language pattern. You get all that August 20th, day 1. It's all in the on-demand. I'm recording them. They're there. We also have a language pattern of how to set an appointment that shows up 70 to 80% of the time, which is well above. Typically, if someone comes to me for coaching, Most people are at around 40 to 50% of their appointments show up. So this pattern about doubles it. 70 to 80% of your appointments will show up, and so forth. Perfect. Yeah, Tiger Time is power hour. I like how I debated what to call it. Tiger Time just sounded fun. Yeah, anyone is welcome into the program. Yep. It doesn't matter what brokerage you're with. It doesn't matter. I mean, really anybody. If you are looking to increase your skill on the phones or in person as you talk, if you have people that you want to turn into clients, the program will help you. That's the broadest way I can answer that. True story. I had a photographer from my church say, "Can I take your class?" So I said, "Sure." I said, you can actually use everything from the class. I just won't give you photography examples because my audience is real estate agents. Well, about halfway through the class, she didn't show up anymore live. So I asked her, "Are you okay? I haven't seen you in class." And she said, "I just signed the biggest client I've ever had, and I am busier than I've ever been. That's why I'm not there on Wednesdays anymore. But I'm watching the recordings." She got so busy, and she's not even a real estate agent. So again, if there's people that are looking to take people and turn them into clients, this is the class. Karen, go ahead. I see you have your hand raised.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Does this work also just as well in luxury markets and second home markets where the people are nowhere near where you're at?
Yes. Yeah. I just saw your question in the chat box. It does. I'm really careful to protect client information, but there's someone in the KW world who teaches luxury who went through this program directly. Very applicable. Yes.
Thank you. That was my question. Thanks so
You're
much.
welcome.
This
And that's
is
part.
phenomenal. Thank
Yay,
you.
I'm so glad. Maui, man, I love Maui. By the way, I just saw that you're in Maui. I love that you have your location in your title there. I was just gonna say something. I don't remember what it was. If it comes back, I'll let you know. Caesar, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Anna.
Hi.
Question, is there a team rate? So I'm on a team of about seven, there's 7 buyer's agents, and we were thinking about, maybe going in on this, so we were just wondering if there's a team rate.
That's actually a great question. So James, I know you're here as well. What I will tell you is this, a very similar program that I've taught before used to be $800 a month. It is now $147 a month. So we have discounted it about as much as we can. And that's a great question. I don't feel prepared to answer.
Well, I mean, the answer would be like I'd say for an Inspire membership. If someone wants to participate, then they need to be a member. It's a subscription like anything else. So each person who'd want to participate would want to join, Caesar.
Got it. Understood.
Thanks for
But
asking.
you could actually have all of them join and still be cheaper than what it was in the past for the program. Yeah. Great question. I love that you want all of them to join. And I think the question to ask is, were all of them to join, would all of them have increased sales that would pay for each one of those? Yes. Yes. The only way that you won't, I just feel very confident in this. The only way that you won't see return is if someone literally never logs in and watches a video. If they log in and even watch a portion of the videos, they will have increased closings. Yeah. Amy, go ahead.
Hi, Anna. Thank you so much. This is amazing. So,
You're welcome.
do you feel like this is a really good framework also for if you get a lot of online leads or
Oh, yeah.
Facebook ad leads and things of that nature?
Yep, 100%. Yep. In fact, one of the things I teach you when you're opening is if they're a web lead, you could always say, what had you on a real estate website today versus shopping Amazon for a Black Friday sale? I mean, we've got all that baked in, customized per lead source. And then always, again, this is why we have the live training. If somebody here has a really unique thing, bring it to the live call. You can email me, join us for Tiger Time. There's a lot of opportunities per month to interact live where you can customize it if you've got like a super specific scenario. But what I'll tell you is my role in real estate was inside sales agent. That meant I was on the phone 6 hours a day lead generating a huge variety of lead sources. So if you were asking me for P&L training, I'd be super nervous and be like, yeah, I'm not your girl. If you need help how to convert a lead, I've got you. I feel very confident in that. Okay, who else? Beatrice, go ahead, and then we'll go to Yvonne. And then
Okay, thanks,
we'll wrap
Anna.
this up here in just a second.
Great. So I do a lot of events myself, and this is my third year in real estate. And so I just like do a one event a year because I'm by myself, solo agent. I can only handle so many leads. And then I have them and I can get on the phone. I'm not shy on the phone. I can talk on the phone. I build rapport on the phone. But then like I will call some of my leads that I got last year, the year before, and it's like we're just talking, they know me, but I don't know how to like how do I what topics do I bring up? I've started, hey, I'm having a vendor, lenders. Do you have you worked with any vendors? Like how do I engage them in conversation? Like they know me, they like me, but they're not sending me any referrals, they're not selling their home with me. So I'm stuck in that situation. Will this help me here?
It will help you. It will help you. And again, we've got the patterns loaded, but also that's live training where you could even come and say, here's something I have going on specifically. What do I do? And we can address that in a live training. What I'll tell you, at one point, my leader had me calling his sphere, which felt super awkward. So I kind of felt like what you just described of what do I talk to them about? And I just thought, what's a free value add that I could offer to people that I've worked with in the past? And I just decided, and I didn't think they'd really care about it, to be honest with you, and it worked. I just decided to say, before I hung up, hey, I work in real estate, as you know. So anytime you need something house related, call me. So if you need a tree guy, a plumber, an electrician, I'm really connected and I can help you get connected. And I started saying, anytime you need something house related, call me. So every time I called them, I'm training them. Anytime you need something house related, call me. To my surprise, they were very happy. They were like, oh, I've never thought about that. And you could tell they saw a lot of value and it was a free value add. And that's just one of many ideas that we'll cover.
Great idea. Anna, thank you. One more last question. I do some cold calling too. Do you provide also cold calling techniques?
Oh yeah. That's my middle name. My favorite leads are actually expireds and for sale by owners. I'd rather have them than a sign call. I can definitely help you with cold calling. Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Awesome.
Perfect. You're welcome. And remember, we've got the language patterns, we have the live trainings, and there's bonus classes. So if you need something, and I realize this is a repetitive question people are asking, we're just going to give you a class on it, even if it's not in the schedule, so to speak. Yvonne and then Shenandoah, and then we're going to end. James, if you're okay, hanging a couple extra minutes here. Awesome. Yvonne, go ahead.
Yes. So after the 6 months commitment, and you don't feel you want to do the live or the Tiger, do you still have access to the materials after the 6 months?
If you took good notes. So we're going to provide workbooks for you, but the live, and James, if you have anything to add, let me know. But all the videos and things, they will go away. Yep.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yep. But if you have the workbooks and you're taking good notes, you will essentially still have the content. You just won't have the videos.
Yeah, I'm a very visual kind of person, so I like to watch over and over and over again. But thank you for that.
Yeah. Like Netflix, you cancel your Netflix, you can't watch Wednesday.
Yeah. I have Hulu right now for a specific show I want to watch, and they're taking my money. I'm
starts
okay
in
with
a month.
Yeah. All right. Last question. Shenandoah. I love your name, by the way. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Anna. On the live sessions, what would be the format? What can we expect there?
Great question. Similar to this, typically what it is about 30 to 40 minutes of teaching. But the teaching's interactive, much like today. And then we're going to practice it, demonstrate it, and finish up with Q&A. So today would be similar feeling to what a live class would be. I will also say I'm very responsive to the crowd. So if I'm teaching a topic and I realize they need more role play than I was intending because I'm watching the chat box, then I'll insert that in there. But essentially 30 to 40 minutes of training, practice, role play, Q&A, and then we'll be out. Perfect. Good. Any other questions, comments? When I was a high school teacher, I used to say any questions, comments, or snide remarks, and they'd always laugh. And I always am tempted to say that. Any questions or comments before we go? Oh yeah, it's about a 1 hour session. So 3 times a month, we'll do a 1 hour training live. And then 3 times a month, we'll do Tiger Time, which again is 1 hour of lead gen. Everybody's muted. It won't be chaotic. We'll just all be on there working together, watch, just camaraderie, basically. You can use the chat box. And then the last 30 minutes of Tiger Time, will be Q&A responding to whatever just happened. And I'll be there to give you feedback. We'll share wins, what worked, what didn't work, all that stuff. Yep, noscriptsalesmethod.com. Remember, if you want the full hour training from Sarah Reynolds, register in the next 48 hours by Friday. And then we'll begin officially August 20th. And guys, I want to say this in parting. If you can't tell, I really, really love what I do, but I don't get to do what I love without people. And so I just want to say thank you. I'm not going to turn this into a Hallmark card. I feel like I could, but I just really appreciate so many of you I've known over the years, and you've believed in me and the class, and you've engaged with it. And I just really appreciate you, because I don't get to do what I love if there's no people involved. So thank you for being the people on the other side of the screen that let me do something I'm really passionate about. Awesome. Anything else?
This was great. Thank you.
Anna, you're the best.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
Anna.
you. And we'll send the recording out to everyone who registered so you can watch this part again. Of course, send you the details on how to enroll. What you have witnessed is a master at her craft. She is better than each and every one of us combined, quite frankly. And that's why I wanted to partner with her on it. I would recommend you get in it and learn these systems to better connect with your people. It'll help you. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Anna Kreuger, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
James.
Anna.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
See everybody on the calls.
Thank you.
All right. Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Anna.
Bye.